there are programs that are down across college football, and then there are programs where things just look bleak because they haven't been good, and you don't really see on the horizon a change coming, right? And I have to say, we're going to talk about one of those teams today here on the You Think You Know Sports podcast, where it's just difficult at the moment to see a really bright future, a 7 and 8 win season. Now, surprises happen every single day in college football. So you never know what's going to happen. And that could happen this year with this particular team. Considering we're going through the Big Ten, I'm guessing some of you have guessed the team, but we'll get there in just a second. You're listening to the You Think You Know Sports podcast. I appreciate you finding us, regardless of where you found us. Could have been on our website, youthinkyouKnowsports.com. It could have been through our link tree on my TikTok, where I have over 10,000 followers and continue to branch out on other social media services now. However you found me, thanks for listening. Hope you'll hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get through every team in the country, and we're running through the Big Ten right now. So the team we're talking about is Purdue. Anybody who follows the Big Ten knows that Purdue has not won a conference game the last 2 years, 0-18 in the new, bigger Big Ten. They have not had a winning record since 2022. They haven't had a 10-win season since 1979. Barry Odom is entering his second year at Purdue off of last year's 2-10 season. And the numbers are pretty incredible. You know, they averaged 17 points per game last year. That's number 124 in the country. 339 yards per game. That's number 99 in the country. They passed on 55% of their plays because they were behind a lot last season. Look, they have quarterback Ryan Browne back. You know, having Browne back, I think, is a big deal, right? He hasn't been great in his career. 2,153 yards, 9 touchdowns, 10 picks last year. In his career, he's got 13 touchdowns, 14 picks. You'd love to have better numbers. But this is a guy who has played in the Big Ten, has been around this program. I think that's a good thing for Purdue to have him back at quarterback, even though the numbers have not been there. Having the experience, I think, is a very big deal. He was 12 of 40 last year on deep balls, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. You'd like to be able to get more shots deep where you could connect. He did not throw 2 touchdowns in a single Big Ten game last year. I thought that was interesting. When he was in a clean pocket, he completed 66% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 6 picks. So he's got to be better when they do protect him, right? Like when Purdue does its job up front, they protect Ryan Browne. He has got to be better than what he was last year. He's got to be more accurate, and he's got to not put the ball in harm's way. He was 38.9% completion rate, 3 touchdowns and 4 picks when he was under pressure last year. So when there was pressure on him, you could really have your way with this Purdue offense because he completed less than 4 out of every 10 passes, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks, so turned the ball over more than he hit big scoring plays. So, look, there's a lot to work on there on the offense. Devin Mockabee is gone. He's been the go-to running back for this Purdue team for years. They've got Jarrett Gibson coming in from Texas, as one of the guys who will be in the mix. The more interesting one may be having Fame Ajayboy come over from Minnesota. He had 441 yards on 97 carries last year, 2 touchdowns. And then Travis Terrell comes over from Jackson State as well. So there are some options here for this Purdue team as they try to become more balanced on offense. Again, remember they threw it on 55% of plays last year. Wide receivers, they went after the transfer portal pretty hard here. BC Owens comes over from Penn. Assad Wasim comes over from Florida Atlantic. Xavier Townsend comes over from Iowa State. They've also got Denalian Morissette coming back at receiver. And they brought in 5 offensive linemen in the portal to come back, to come over with 2 guys who are coming back. So there's a lot of change on this offense. The one thing that's not a change is Browne, which is why I kind of went pretty hard talking about him as we started. Defensively, only 4 starters back. They allowed 33 points per game last year, number 117 in the country. 436 yards per game. Both metrics not good, right? Opponents ran the ball almost 60% of their plays on this Purdue team. So they'd get ahead, they were able to run the ball and put the game away. against Purdue, which is how games like the USC game that they were in got away from them. The Notre Dame game got away. Illinois got away. Northwestern was an ugly 19-0 loss. Ohio State put it on them as expected. Washington beat them by 36. Indiana beat them by 53 at the end of the year. So they've got to get better on defense. Elo Madozie comes over from Georgia. Keyshawn Burgos comes over from Virginia Tech as well. So those guys, should make a pretty big impact on defense. Both of those guys with Power 4 pedigree. Charles Correa is back after a 96 tackle season. They added a guy from Penn State and Illinois as well in the secondary. Smiley Bradford and Hudson Hines are back as well for this team after playing last year for the Boilermakers as well. So, look, I think there's a long ways to go with this offense and this defense. I don't think there's any question about it. Madozie is expected to be kind of the key playmaker on defense. I've seen, I believe it was Lindy's had actually spotlighted him. He started his career at Army before going to Georgia. 3 of the first 4 games on this schedule are at home. Indiana State, Wake Forest, both home games. They go to UCLA, then they host Notre Dame September the 26th. Then Notre Dame, obviously, top 5 team, probably the favorite in college football to win every game on their schedule this year if anybody's going to do it. At Illinois, October 3rd. Then they host Minnesota and Washington back-to-back. Go to Penn State on Halloween. So they have a bye week between Washington and Penn State and end up at State College on Halloween. November 7th, they host Maryland at Iowa November 14th. Host Wisconsin November 21st, and they play at Indiana on November the 28th. So Purdue has got a pretty challenging schedule. Again, there's no Ohio State here. We talked about this with going through Penn State just a second ago. No Ohio State on the schedule. There's no Oregon on the schedule. But you do go to Indiana at the end of the year. There is no Michigan on this schedule, right? So you don't play Michigan. But you do have that Notre Dame game at week 4. You do have Washington, who I think is going to be pretty good. You have to go to Iowa. You have to go to Indiana. 3 of your last 5 are at Penn State, at Iowa, at Indiana. I also think Maryland is going to be much improved this year with everybody that they have coming back on both sides of the football as well. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Purdue and whether or not the Boilermakers are going to finally get themselves a Big Ten win this year, whether they can be better than a lot of the prognosticators believe. If they can improve. Barry Odom entering year 2. He's had a winning record in college. He was 2-10, obviously, at Purdue last year. But can this team actually get over the hump and maybe even compete to get to a bowl game? Love to hear your comments wherever you find me, whatever social media. You've been listening to the You Think You Know Sports podcast. We're keeping these episodes short and sweet as we go through each team in the Big Ten right now. We're going to get into the Big 12 real soon and can't wait to do that. Thanks for listening, guys. See you on the next podcast when we get into Rutgers, another team that is trying to get out of the basement in the Big Ten. See you guys there.